Stage 1 and Stage 2 are pressed for flight.
High flow engine purge is enabled. Deluge is activated.
T-minus 20 seconds. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2. Lift off.
We are off the pad and on our way to space once again with successful liftoff from Rocket Lab Launch Complex 1. Right now, Electron is travelling at over 500 kilometres an hour and is passing 3 kilometres in altitude. Very soon, Electron will approach max Q, or maximum dynamic pressure, that moment when forces are at their greatest on the launch vehicle. Let's listen in for the call from Mission Control that Electron has passed that phase.
Vehicle is supersonic. Approaching max Q. Cleared max Q.
There's the call out. Electron has successfully passed through max Q. Propulsion is continuing nominally on the first stage as we approach the next event in Electron's ascent.
Altitude is 30 kilometers, speed is 1.3 kilometers per second.
AOS Chatham Station.
First up, the 9 Rutherford
Safe
engines will
propulsion
throttle
holding
down
nominal,
before
standby for
shutting
MECO
off
approximately
completely,
30 seconds.
otherwise known as main engine cutoff or MECO. Shortly afterward, we'll see separation of the first and second stages, followed quickly by ignition of the single Rutherford engine on Electron's second stage.
15 seconds to go.
MECO confirmed.
As you've seen, we've had a successful MECO, stage separation and second stage engine ignition. Next we'll be coming up on fairing separation. This is when the two halves of Electron's fairing separate and fall away in preparation for payload deployment.
Fairing jettison succeeded.
And there it is, you saw a flash of it on your screen. The fairing has separated, clearing the way for payload deployment coming up in approximately 50 minutes from now. Meanwhile, stage 2 is continuing well to orbit, carrying the kick stage and the monolith satellite.
Guidance is nominal, altitude is 140 kilometers. We are flying with 3 kilometers per second.
And we are looking at a healthy stage 2 burn at a few minutes and 4 minutes and 5 seconds into the mission. At an altitude of about 10,000 plus kilometers and a velocity of over 165, Electron continues nominally.
Stage 2 propulsion holding nominal.
RCS is damping out the roll as well. We've got a little bit of torque coming in from the engine, which is to be expected. And so yourself when the RCS fires, just to dampen that out. So little saw waves on my screen. It's pretty nice.
Space is looking beautiful this evening as our 21st Electron launch has successfully left the pad. We're in the middle of our stage 2 burn, taking us to an elliptical orbit, after which the kick stage will separate in preparation for payload deployment. All systems continue to look nominal.
Throttle down the engine, still looking pretty good.
So for those of you just joining us on our 21st mission, you will have heard from Mission Control that everything is continuing nominally during our second stage burn. Ahead of kick stage separation is the battery hot swap, coming up in about a minute. On our way to orbit, we are travelling at a speed of over 13,000 kilometres with an altitude of over 200.
Battery discharge nominal, approaching hot swap in roughly 30 seconds.
Now for one of the events of the launch events unique to Electron, the battery jettison. The fuel pumps in Electron's Rutherford engines are powered by batteries. But once those batteries are depleted, it's just added weight that we don't need to carry all the way to orbit. So we swap out the depleted batteries for a fresh new one
Throttling down.
to keep Electron's second stage going all the way. We call this maneuver battery hot swap, and
Battery
it's coming up
jettison
next.
Confirmed.
And there it goes. You will have just seen it falling away, meaning that battery
Propulsion
hot
looking
swap has
nominal.
been completed. Around 2.5 minutes to go until the kick stage separates, setting us up for payload deployment later in the hour. What we're looking at on your screen there is the glowing hot vacuum optimized nozzle for the Rutherford engine on Electron's second stage. It's the same base engine that we use 9 of on the first stage to do most of the heavy lifting. But when we're in space, we only need one. The vacuum optimized nozzle extension allows us to match the pressure of the environment, unlocking some 5,800 pounds of thrust.
HVB battery discharged holding nominal.
Electron's second stage is now approaching SECO, or second engine cutoff. Much like main engine cutoff, the stage 2 Rutherford will throttle down before the kick stage separates ahead of payload deployment. We are now 8 minutes and 13 seconds into flight, and everything is looking great for payload deployment in approximately 45 minutes.
Guidance is in terminal, 20 seconds remaining.
Stage 2 shutdown.
Stage 3 separation confirmed. And nominal transfer orbit achieved.
And that confirms Electron's second stage engine has shut down and the kick stage and second stage have separated. So the kick stage will now enter what we call a coasting phase while it's in an elliptical orbit before its Curie engine ignites to circularize the orbit ahead of payload deployment. Now, we won't have a live video feed from Electron of payload deployment on this mission, but we will stay with you on this webcast to bring you a simulated view of that happening. We'll take a bit of a break on the webcast now, but we'll be back with you closer to payload deployment to listen in on those final moments from mission control.
And Curie has started.
And there you have it, the Curie engine has ignited and the burn is underway to circularize our orbit. This burn has a planned duration of about 50 seconds, so let's listen in to hear for a successful engine cutoff after that.
And stage 3 propulsion is nominal. And Curie engine cutoff confirmed.
And that is Curie engine cutoff. Next up is payload deployment of the Monolith satellite for the United States Space Force's Space Test Program. Let's listen in for confirmation.
600, perigee 600, inclination 36.997.
And payload separation confirmed.
So there we have it. Welcome to your new home on orbit, Monolith. That completes our 21st Electron mission and officially brings the count of satellites deployed by Rocket Lab to 105. Congratulations and thank you to our customers at the United States Space Force and the Space Test Program. It's a privilege to be entrusted with deploying your spacecraft safely to orbit. Before we sign off, though, a huge thank you to the many other teams that make missions like this possible, including the FAA, the New Zealand Space Agency, and of course, the entire Rocket Lab family. So, with 105 satellites successfully deployed to space, we're going to end today's webcast. Thank you for joining us, and we'll see you again very soon for the next Electron mission. This is Rocket Lab Mission Control, signing off.